Imagine you learn 20 new English words today. You write them in your notebook. You read them again and again. You even memorize their meanings. You feel good. You think, great, I learned 20 new words today. But then, the next day, something strange happens. Someone asks you a simple question. And one of those 20 words is exactly what you need. You know the word. You recognize it. You remember its meaning. But when you try to use it, nothing comes out. You think, wait, how do I use this word? This happens to so many English learners. And maybe it happens to you too. But why? Why can you remember the meaning of a word, but still not know how to use it? The answer is simple. You didn't really learn the word. You learn information about the word. And there is a big difference. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most useful ways to learn English vocabulary. Learning vocabulary in context. Don't worry if the word context sounds difficult. It means learning a word together with the situation, sentences, story, or idea around it. And by the end of this episode, you will understand why this simple change can make learning vocabulary much easier.
Yes, I can!
Let's start with a very easy word. Hungry. Maybe you learn it like this. Hungry, meaning you want food. That's correct. But now imagine you hear a small story. I woke up late this morning. I didn't have breakfast. I went to work. And by 12 o'clock, I was really hungry. Now you hear the word hungry inside a real situation. You can imagine the person. They woke up. They didn't eat. They went to work. Now it's 12 o'clock. They want food. They are hungry. Suddenly, the word has a story. And stories are easier for our brains to remember. You don't just remember hungry means you want food. You remember a person who didn't breakfast and became hungry. That's context. And this is why learning vocabulary from a simple story can be much more powerful than memorizing a list of words. Think about your own life. Imagine you see the word tired. You can memorize tired means needing rest. But what happens if you connect it to real life? You finish a long day at work. You come home. You sit on the sofa. You take a deep breath and you say, I'm really tired. Now the word is connected to an experience. Maybe you have actually felt that feeling hundreds of times. So when you hear tired, your brain doesn't need to search for a translation. It already understands the idea. This is one of the secrets of learning vocabulary naturally. Don't only learn the meaning, learn the situation. Let's take another simple word, cold. You can memorize cold means low temperature. But imagine you're walking outside on a winter morning. The wind is strong. Your hands are cold. You don't have a jacket. You say, it's so cold today. Now the word has a place. It has a feeling. It has a picture. It has a sentence. It has a real situation. And that makes it much easier to remember. This is also why watching English stories can be so useful. Imagine You are watching a simple story about a man going to a restaurant. You hear, "I'm starving." Maybe you have never learned starving before. But then you see the man looking at the menu. He hasn't eaten all day. He looks very hungry. He says, "I'm starving." Even if you don't know the exact meaning of starving, you can understand the idea from the situation. Maybe it means very hungry. And now you have learned something important. You didn't memorize the word. You discovered it. There is a big difference. When you discover a word inside the story, your brain has more information to connect together. The word, the sentence, the person, the action, the emotion, the situation. All of these things work together, and that's what makes the word easier to remember later. Now, you may be thinking, should I stop using vocabulary lists? Not necessarily. Vocabulary lists can be useful, but don't make the list your whole learning system. If you write down a new word, give that word a home. Don't write borrow means take something and return it later. Write a simple example too. I borrowed a book from my friend. Now you know more than the meaning. You know how the word works. And this is very important because English words don't always work exactly like words in your native language. Sometimes the meaning is easy, but the way we use the word is different. For example, imagine you learn the word decision. You memorize decision means a choice. Good. But then you see, I need to make a decision. Now you learn something else. You don't usually say, I need to do a decision. You say, make a decision. This is something a dictionary definition cannot always teach you. Context teaches you how words live inside sentences. And that's exactly what you need if your goal is speaking. Because when you speak English, you don't just need to know what a word means. You need to know what words usually come before it, what words usually come after it, what situations people use it in, and what kind of sentence sounds natural. Let's look at another example. Imagine you learn the word mistake. You could memorize mistake means something that is wrong. But now listen to these sentences. I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. You are seeing the same word in different contexts, and slowly your brain begins to understand the word naturally. You don't have to think, okay, mistake means something that is wrong. You simply understand the idea. That's what we're trying to build. A direct connection between the English word and the meaning. And there is another important rule. Don't try to learn every new word you see. This is a huge mistake. Imagine you're watching an English video and you find 20 new words. Do you need to stop the video 20 times? No. That can make learning exhausting. Instead, choose a few useful words. Maybe 3, maybe 5. Ask yourself, will I use this word? Is this word common? Can I imagine myself saying it? If the answer is yes, learn it in context. For example, imagine you're learning the word appointment. You might hear, I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. That's useful. Now create your own sentence. I have an appointment at 3. Then imagine your real life. Maybe you have an appointment next week. Use the sentence. Say it. Repeat it. Now the word belongs to you. This is much better than simply writing appointment means a planned meeting. You're turning information into something useful, and you can do this with almost any word. Let's say you learn busy. Don't just memorize the meaning. Use it. I'm busy right now. Sorry, I'm busy. My boss is busy. Now you have seen the same word in several situations. Your brain starts noticing a pattern, and patterns are extremely important for language learning. This is also why repetition and context work so well together. Imagine you hear the same word today, then tomorrow, then 3 days later, then next week. Every time you see it in a slightly different sentence, your brain gets more evidence. It starts saying, "Oh, I know this word," and eventually the word becomes automatic. You don't need to translate it. You simply understand it. This is exactly what happens with words in your native language. You don't stop and think about the meaning of every common word. You just understand. English can become like that too, but you need to give your brain enough examples. So here's a simple method you can start using today. The next time you find a new English word, don't write only the translation. Write the word. Write one simple sentence. Then create one sentence about your own life. And finally, say the sentence aloud. For example, comfortable. Sentence, this chair is comfortable. Your sentence, my bed is very comfortable. Then say it, this chair is comfortable. My bed is very comfortable. Now you have learned the word in context, and tomorrow try to use it again. Maybe, my shoes are comfortable. Now the word is becoming flexible. You can use it in different situations, and that's much closer to real fluency. Remember, the goal is not to collect English words. Your goal is to use English words. You don't need a notebook full of 5,000 words that you never use. You need a smaller number of useful words that you understand deeply and can use naturally. So the next time you learn vocabulary, don't ask only, what does this word mean? Ask, how do people use this word? What situation can I use it in? What sentence can I make with it? And most importantly, can I connect this word to my real life? If you can do that, you're not just memorizing vocabulary. You're building a real English vocabulary. And slowly, English becomes less about remembering individual words and more about understanding ideas. You start hearing a word and immediately seeing the situation. You hear rainy, and you imagine dark clouds and rain outside. You hear hungry, and you imagine looking for food. You hear tired, and you imagine coming home after a long day. That's when vocabulary becomes powerful, because you're no longer translating words, you're understanding them. So remember this simple idea. Don't learn words alone. Learn them in context. Learn them in sentences. Learn them in stories. Learn them in conversations. Learn them through your own life. And then repeat them. Use them. Hear them again. That's how vocabulary becomes part of your English.
Let's do this!
Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Easy English Real World for more simple English lessons, slow English podcasts, and practical ways to improve your English every day. And now I have a small challenge for you. Choose one English word you learned recently. Write a sentence with it in the comments. Don't just write the meaning. Use the word. Let's learn vocabulary together. One word, one sentence, and one real situation at a time. I will see you in the next episode. Keep listening, keep learning, and most importantly, keep using English.